The lady lived in a quiet house with a garden full of flowers and long, winding paths. But her favorite companion wasn't the roses or the sunshine. It was her dog. He followed her everywhere, padding softly behind her as she walked, curling up at her feet while she sewed, and leaping with joy whenever she reached for his leash. The dog adored his mistress just as much. When she laughed, he wagged his tail. When she sat quietly, he rested his head on her shoe. To everyone watching, they seemed inseparable, two best friends who understood each other without words. But the dog had one very serious problem. He hated baths. The moment water splashed, he growled. When soap appeared, he snapped. No servant dared go near him when it was time to wash him. Buckets were overturned, towels torn, and once a poor maid fled the room with water dripping from her sleeves. The lady sighed. She loved her dog, but she could not allow bad behavior to continue. After much thought, the lady made a difficult decision. She would not shout. She would not scold. Instead, she would quietly withdraw her attention until the dog learned to behave. From that day on, things changed. No morning walks, no playful romps, no gentle pats or loving words. When the dog trotted to her side, she turned away. When he curled up near her chair, she moved to another room. The house felt strangely empty, even though he was still there. At first, the dog didn't understand. He barked, wagged his tail, and brought her toys, but nothing worked. Slowly, his joy faded. His ears drooped. His steps slowed. He lay alone in corners, watching his mistress from afar, wondering what he had done wrong. For the first time, the dog felt truly unhappy. Days passed, and the dog grew dirtier and sadder. Without walks, his coat dulled. Without affection, his spirit sank. He no longer ran to the door when it opened. He no longer barked with excitement. At night, he dreamed of happier times, sunlit paths, laughter, gentle hands stroking his fur. Most painful of all was knowing that his mistress was disappointed in him. Dogs cannot speak, but they understand love, and he understood that something important had been broken. Each day, he watched her carefully, hoping for a sign, a smile, a touch, anything. But she remained firm, though her heart ached. At last, the dog made a decision of his own. He would do whatever it took to make things right. One quiet morning, the dog slowly approached his mistress. He didn't bark. He didn't jump. He simply looked up at her with eyes full of meaning. She understood at once. The servants prepared the bath, expecting trouble, but something was different. The dog stepped into the water without a sound. The scrubbing was hard, harder than ever before, but he did not move. He stood still. Not because he liked it, but because love mattered more than comfort. When it was over, he shook the water from his coat and ran straight to his mistress, barking joyfully, tail wagging wildly. "It's all right now," his eyes seemed to say. And it was. From that day on, everything returned to how it once was, and even better. Walks resumed. Games returned. The dog's coat shone and his heart was light again. Best of all, he never resisted a bath afterward. He had learned something important. Sometimes we must endure what we dislike to keep the love we cherish. And the story teaches us this gentle lesson. If a dog can learn not to grieve the one who loves him, how much more should children try not to grieve their parents, who care for them, guide them, and love them every day? Because love, once understood, is worth every effort.